It's time for spelling analysis, and today we get to use two advanced phonograms. The first one is this, and it says A. Let's say that together. A. Now notice this A is spelled with two-letter A that you may not use at the end of English words, followed by a GH, which is silent. So what does this say? It says A. And if I hold up four fingers and say use the advanced phonogram A, you know it's spelled like this. The second advanced phonogram in today's list is This is a French spelling of the sound Go ahead and say it with me, So if I hold up three fingers and say use the advanced spelling of you know it's this one. Let's get started. The first word is stopped. The car stopped at the stop sign. Go ahead and say stopped. How many syllables in stopped? One. Now, what is the base word of stopped? It's stop. And what are we adding to stop to make the past tense stopped? We're adding the past tense ending ed-t. Let's start by sounding out the word stop. Use a s, t, a, p. Now we're adding the past tense ending ed-t, and that's a vowel suffix. So what do we need to know? Stop ends in one vowel followed by one consonant. And so what do we need to do? We need to double the consonant and then add the ending ed-t. So it goes s, t, a, p, p, t. Go ahead and write stopped, sounding it out as you write it. Excellent. And then help me write it. S, t, a, p, p, t. And how do we mark it? Well, underline the t. And what sound of ed-t is this? It's the third. Why is it saying that unvoiced t sound? Oh, you're right. P is unvoiced, so t is unvoiced. Let's read it. Stop, stopped. And one more time, why did we double the P? Because when the word ends in one vowel followed by one consonant and we're adding a vowel suffix and that syllable is stressed, then we double the last consonant. Let's do the next word. The next word is rule. What is the most important rule? Go ahead and say rule. Let's sound it out. U, use an u, ul, silent finally. Go ahead and write rule, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. U, ul, silent finally. How will we mark it? What sound of u, do you hear? You hear the sound oo, which is the second long sound. So we'll put a line over it, and the U has two long sounds, U and oo, and then we'll double underline the silent E. Why do we have a silent E in rule? The vowel says it's long sound because of the E. Let's read it. U-ul, rule. The next word is price. What is the price of the oranges? Price. Go ahead and say price. Let's sound it out. I, use an I-E-ya. Use a k, silent finally. Go ahead and write price, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. Silent finally. How do we mark it? What are the two reasons for a silent E? The vowel said it's long sound because of the E, and the C softened to S because of the E. Let's read it. Price. The next word is hope. I hope they had a wonderful vacation. Hope. Go ahead and say hope. And let's sound it out. Hope. Silent finally. Go ahead and write hope. And help me to write it. Hope. Silent finally. How do we mark it? The vowel said its long sound because of the E. So we'll put a line over the O and double underline the E. What would it say without the E? Hop. What does it say with it? Hope. Let's read it. Ope, hope. The next word is swimmer. She is an excellent swimmer. Go ahead and say swimmer. How many syllables in swimmer? 2. We will say to spell swim-mer. What will we say to spell? Swim-mer. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is swim. S-w-I, use an I-E-L. The second syllable is mer. Use the of her. Go ahead and write swim-mer, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. The first syllable is swim. S-w-I, The second syllable is mer. How do we mark it? We'll underline the Now, what is the root of swimmer? It is swim. And what do you notice about the word swim? It ends in one vowel followed by one consonant. And what is the suffix that we are adding? We're adding the suffix Why did we double the M? Because when a word ends in one vowel followed by one consonant, we double the last consonant when adding a vowel suffix if the syllable before the suffix is stressed. So it becomes swimmer. The next word is straight. The road between those two cities is perfectly straight. Go ahead and say straight. And let's sound it out. A. This is the advanced phonogram A. T. Go ahead and write straight, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. A. T. Did you use this advanced phonogram? Let's read it. Straight. The next word is break. Let's take a break in 5 minutes. Break. Go ahead and say break. Let's sound it out. B-R-A. Use an E-F-A. K. Use a tall K. Go ahead and write break. And help me to write it. B-R-A-K. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the A. What sound of E-F-A do you hear? It's the third. Let's read it. B-R-A-K, break. The next word is tour. He went on a tour. Go ahead and say tour. Let's sound it out. T-oo. Use an ow, o, oo, Go ahead and write tour. And help me to write it. T-oo-er. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the oo. What sound of ow, o, oo, do you hear? You hear the oo sound, which is the third sound, tour. Let's read it. T-oo-er, tour. The next word is tourists. The tourists took a tour of the museum. Tourists. Go ahead and say tourists. How many syllables in tour? Oh, sorry, tourist. We just want one. How many syllables in tourist? Two. So we will say to spell tourist. What will we say to spell? Tourist. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is tour. T-oo. That's right. Use an ow, o, oo, The second syllable is ist. Is. Use a s. Go ahead and write tourist. And help me to write it. The first syllable is tour. T-oo-er. The second syllable is ist. Ist. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the oo and put a 3 over it. Let's read it. Tourist. Tourist. Now, I have a question. Do you see a word related to tourist in this list? It's the word tour. That's right. A tourist is someone who is going on a tour. And there's something else that's interesting. Tour actually means to turn, like in a circle. So when you're touring, it's like you're circling or going around it, and a tourist is going around. Well, the next word is tournament. The hockey tournament will be over the weekend. Go ahead and say tournament. How many syllables in tournament? 3. We will say to spell tournament. What will we say to spell? Tournament. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is tur. There it is. It's that advanced phonogram The second syllable is nay. A. The third syllable is meant. Go ahead and write meant, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. The first syllable is Second syllable is nay. A. The third syllable is meant. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the advanced phonogram and we'll put a line over the A. Why did it say it's long sound? A, E, O, U usually say they're long sounds at the end of the syllable. Now, is there something you noticed about the word tournament and other words on this list? You're right. It has the beginning of tour and tourist. And what did I say tour means? It means to go in a circle. Well, how might a tournament be related to something in a circle? Have you ever been part of a tournament where the teams keep taking turns and playing each other? So that's where that comes from. These words are related. And you'll notice here we have the ow, o, phonogram. And here we use the advanced phonogram, but they are related to one another. And the pronunciation is different. As we add suffixes and prefixes to words, sometimes the pronunciation shifts. Let's go ahead and read tournament. Tournament. Excellent. The next word is leave. We will leave soon. Go ahead and say leave. Let's sound it out. O-E, use an E-A, silent final E. Go ahead and write leave, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. O-E, silent final E. How do we mark it? Well, underline the E. Why do we have a silent E in leave? English words do not end in V or U, therefore add an E. Let's read it. Leave. The next word is lose. I am not going to lose this game. Lose. Go ahead and say lose. Let's sound it out. Use an A-O-U. Z, use a S. Silent final E. Go ahead and write lose, sounding it out as you write it. And help me to write it. Z, silent final E. How do we mark it? What sound of A-O-U do you hear in lose? It's the broad sound. That's right. And what sound of Z do you hear in lose? It's the second sound. And why do we have a silent E in lose? I think it's there because of the S. Yeah, so it doesn't look like a plural word. So let's read it. Lose. The next word is understand. I understand how you're feeling. Understand. Go ahead and say understand. How many syllables? 3. We will say to spell understand. What will we say to spell? Understand. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is n. The second syllable is use the of her. The third syllable is stand. And. Go ahead and write understand. Excellent. And help me to write it. The first syllable is un, n. The second syllable is der, der. The third syllable is stand, st, and. And how do you mark it? We'll underline the Let's read it. And, st, and. Understand. The next word is raise. Please raise your hand if you have a question. Raise. Go ahead and say raise. And let's sound it out. A, two-letter A that you may not use at the end of English words. Z, use a z. Silent final E. Go ahead and write raise. And help me to write it. A, z. Silent final E. How do we mark it? We'll underline the A. And what sound of z is this? The second. And we'll double underline the E. Why do we have a silent E in raise? I think you're right. I think it's for that S. Let's read it. A-z, raise. We don't want words to end in S because it's used as a grammatical marking for plurals and verbs. So when the base word ends in S, we often add an E. The last word is winner. I wonder who the winner will be. Go ahead and say winner. How many syllables in winner? 2. Now, what is the root word of winner? It's win. And what suffix are we adding? We're adding er. Let's go ahead and sound out win first. W-I-N. Notice it ends in one vowel followed by one consonant. So when we add the suffix er, which is a vowel suffix, what do we need to do? We need to double the n and then add the er. Go ahead and write win-ner. That's how we would sound it out as say to spell. Win-ner. Go ahead and write it just like that, dividing those syllables as win-ner. And now help me to write it. The first syllable is win. W-I-N. The second syllable is ner. N-er. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the er. Let's read it. W-I-N-er. Winner. Excellent. Great work today spelling these words.
Combining the science of reading with the joy of learning. Learn more at essentials.logicoфenglish.com.